It was close to 2 in the morning, which meant she had probably just finished another long shift. My apartment was completely dark. I had arranged the curtains so carefully that not even a sliver of light escaped. From where I sat, I could see her illuminated window across the street. Night after night, her routine unfolded like clockwork. The moment her apartment lights came on, I found myself watching. She moved through her rooms with effortless confidence, unaware, or perhaps uncaring, that someone might be looking. She crossed from the living room to the kitchen, kicked off her shoes, and let out a tired sigh that seemed heavier than usual. She looked exhausted. For a while she stood near the window, staring out over the city skyline as if searching for something beyond the endless sea of lights. Then she disappeared into the kitchen, returning with a mug of coffee before curling up on the couch. I knew the layout of her apartment by heart. The mirrors, the open spaces, the angle of the furniture, everything seemed positioned to reveal little glimpses of her life. Sometimes I wondered if it was all coincidence. Other times, I wasn't so sure. Eventually she headed to her bedroom. The light flickered on, bathing the room in a warm glow. She sat before the mirror and slowly removed the traces of the evening from her face. Makeup vanished piece by piece, revealing a softer, more natural version of the woman who had spent hours performing for strangers. When she finished, she studied her reflection. She lingered there, turning slightly from side to side, running her hands through her hair as if examining someone else. It felt less like vanity and more like a private ritual, a quiet moment of reclaiming herself after a long night. The city outside continued to hum, but inside her apartment everything slowed. She loosened her hair, stretched, and stood before the mirror for several moments, lost in thought. There was something mesmerizing about the way she moved, not because she was performing, but because she seemed completely alone with herself. I remained in the darkness, watching the familiar routine unfold. As always, the curtains stayed open. "Come on," he whispered into the darkness of his apartment. "Take it off." Across the street, illuminated by the warm glow of a bedroom lamp, she stood before her mirror. Slowly, she slipped the straps from her shoulders and reached behind her back. The clasp released. For a moment, nothing happened. Then she peeled the garment away, revealing herself to the reflection she seemed unable to stop admiring. He watched, captivated. Everything about her fascinated him. The way she lingered in front of the mirror. The way her hands drifted over her skin as though studying a work of art. Every movement felt deliberate, unhurried. His obsession had grown over months. He knew her routines. He knew where she worked. He knew which lights she switched on first when she came home. He even possessed small trophies from his fixation, things she'd never realized were missing. A stolen bra. A forgotten pair of underwear. Objects he treated like relics. As she stood there, lost in her reflection, his pulse quickened. He couldn't resist any longer. He picked up the phone. The number rang. Across the street, she froze. A second later she crossed the room and answered. "Hello." Her voice was softer than he'd imagined. "Hello." He struggled to speak. "Do you know what time it is?" she asked. He swallowed hard. Finally, a few words escaped. "I saw you dance." Silence. Then a sigh. "How did you get this number?" He didn't answer. The woman rubbed her forehead. "Listen," she said. "You can admire me from the club if you want, but calling me at home isn't happening. Don't do it again." There wasn't anger in her voice. Only exhaustion. When the call ended, she lowered the blinds in her living room. Moments later the curtains in her bedroom followed. The performance was over. He remained at the window, staring at the dark fabric that now separated him from the life he'd spent months imagining. Across the street, she leaned against the curtain and laughed quietly to herself. That guy again. The apartment was finally private. She returned to the mirror. The glamorous blonde reflected there smiled back. But the smile wasn't entirely real. Neither was the woman. With practiced movements, she removed the wig first, revealing a closely cropped scalp beneath. Then came the carefully crafted smile, perfect artificial teeth resting in a glass on the dresser. The transformation continued. A seam hidden beneath makeup became visible. Fingernails worked beneath the edge of a flawless face, lifting away a layer of latex. The beautiful features softened and folded as the mask came free. Underneath was an entirely different person. Not ugly. Just ordinary. Human. The figure in the mirror yawned and wiped sweat from their forehead. The costume had been worn for hours under hot stage lights. Piece by piece, the illusion disappeared. Hair. Face. Makeup. Then the rest. Padding, prosthetics, and carefully engineered curves were removed and set aside. The exaggerated silhouette that audiences adored slowly collapsed into a much leaner frame. The person studying the mirror smiled again, this time naturally. The stage name, the accent, the persona, the fantasy sold to customers every night, all of it was packed away with the costume. Tomorrow, Barbie would return. Tomorrow there would be lights, music, tips, and admirers. Tonight there was only a tired student standing alone in a quiet apartment, eager for sleep before morning classes. The final lamp clicked off. Darkness filled the room. And across the street, a lonely watcher remained unaware that the woman he desired had never truly existed at all.